Here.
Jan Hedlund. Here. Mary Johnson. Here. Jerry Johnson. Gordon Hammer.
Here.
And Janet Wright. Not here. She's out of town. 5 present, 1 absent.
Okay, Brian has to drive clear downtown when we're done here tonight, so I agreed to put him on first. So, Brian, we can open for questions and answers. I was going to have people write the questions down on cards, but since we have a smaller crowd tonight, we can probably get by without the cards. So at this time, the floor is open for questions to Brian concerning Blackwater. We'd like to keep this to at least an hour. Less than an hour.
I think I answer as many questions as I can, regardless if I'm on the floor or not. But a quick announcement that I haven't even made mention to any of the board members. Speaking with our exec vice president and the president of Blackwater, we're looking at one or both of them coming in and giving a brief about the company, who we are, what we do, the things that are taking place worldwide with Blackwater, and then of course what's planned here for Potrero. A lot of the Potrero stuff will be redundant. It's the same things that I put in articles, it's the same things obviously that we discussed here, but I think the big piece would be one of the two, if not both, coming out here. Now the intent is to get around scheduling conflicts and kind of do an open house right on the property. I'm trying to work out the arrangements with the owner, and once that date has been determined, I'll put it in the hotline. I'll hang the dates on the post office and or the cafe, wherever I can, so that everybody gets to see the date, what's taking place, time, so on and so forth. But the intent right now is to have it by mid-October, so it's kind of right around the corner. It'll be a weekend so that it doesn't interfere with work schedules, and we'll see how it goes. I'll keep everybody updated. So again, you'll have your kind of the opportunity to talk a little bit more about the big company, if you will, and not just what's going on here in Potrero. So that's the intent. Other than that, I don't have a lot of new information, but because obviously I was going to come by tonight, if there's any new questions that you have or anything you want me to reiterate or whatever, that's what I'm here for. Yes, sir.
Have you guys seriously considered Bell Valley?
Bell Valley.
Wait, so 70 acres burnt last night?
Bell Valley does not ring a bell with me at all.
Perfect. Right off the highway. You can't see it from the highway. It's on the Mexican border. It would be perfect. Perfect. A lot better for me.
Okay. Bell Valley. You want to give me some more information? I'd be happy to
It's for
take a look
sale.
at it.
It's been for sale ever since you guys have been here.
Okay.
I mentioned it probably
Right.
almost a year ago.
Doesn't ring a bell that we've ever gone out there and actually seen it. May have talked to the owner, but may have never gone out there. And again, by talking to people, what you have to understand is we don't have to see it when we look at the zoning and some of the other things and some of the issues which we could face. And
Of course.
Yeah, Brian, I can give you all the contact information. It's owned by Byron White.
okay.
You got a fire in the house.
Still there.
A couple fires.
Yeah, it's in Bell Valley for 70 acres.
What else, folks?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we any closer to a noise test with the owner?
The owner actually seems to have agreed to allow the test to take place. He just wants to understand the structure better. He will turn it over to an attorney, I suspect. And he said he wants to do his due diligence on it. So we've come up with a structure, and we'll see what he comes back with. Again, we've asked that it could be done sooner than later. So certainly, October works for us. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's the names of those two gentlemen you were talking
Gary
about?
Jackson is the president, and Bill Matthews is the executive vice president.
Could you state your names when you speak for the tape?
Randy Park.
Hi, Randy.
What was the second?
Bill Matthews.
Bill Matthews.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Gary here, resident of Carroll. Remember a couple of meetings ago, I asked about the real estate impact. Have you got any info on that?
We started, I've got some info, matter of fact, I don't have enough that I actually think that it's substantial to really present, but I do have some stuff with regard to the projects and the real estate and comments that have been made within the North Carolina Business Journal. Actually, I could probably give you the website, you can go on and take a look at some of the articles, but it talks about some of the real estate stuff. I could read a paragraph, but it's really not as substantial as I would want it to be to fully answer your question. But if you'd like, I certainly could read.
What's the website?
It's businessnc.com.
businessnc.com?
Yes, ma'am.
Roxanne, street resident. Last month, at the end of the meeting, I happened to overhear a conversation where the subject of the bullets and the toxicity of the lead going back into the soil, et cetera, and a comment was made that lead comes from the earth, so why would it be toxic upon charging, firing, etc. I also had the opportunity to listen to a television program to where certain groups and organizations are moving to make it mandatory that hunters not use lead-based bullets in their hunting because the lead goes back into the soil and it affects everything from that point forward. So they're moving to remove lead out of the bullets in hunting. What difference is that going to make, and how could the comment even be made that lead comes from the earth? How could it be toxic? Well, uranium comes from the earth, and once released, look what it did over in the reservations in Arizona and New Mexico. It makes everything toxic. It poisons the water. It does everything that we are in fear of here. So how could an intelligent individual make such a comment such as that and say that there's not going to be any harm to our environment, our water table, all the animals that habitat in that area, whether it be eating the green life that is there, and the animals that prey off of those animals that eat the toxic materials. How can you justify?
I'm just waiting for you to stop talking so I can answer.
How can you justify?
For one, I'm not aware of any ranges in Southern California at least that have been shut down based to lead in the soil, the water, food, so on and so forth. So if there is any data, I'd love to see it. Secondly, the ranges that we built, how we construct the berms, how we catch the lead, how we capture the lead, how we dispose of the lead, mitigates for those impacts. We'll also sink monitoring wells. Same monitoring wells that we have in North Carolina. That data will be available to anybody in this room who wants to come see the data. We're not going to affect the earth. We're not going to affect the trails, groundwater, food system, air. All of that's being discussed in the EIR, and I just cannot wait. I'm waiting with bated breath for the EIR to come out where it talks about air quality, water quality, all of those things. If we were contaminating the soil or the water, we would not be proceeding with this project.
Ryan, clarification, you are reclaiming the lead, is that correct?
There will be a period of time, there will be a calendar, there will be a schedule where we will reclaim the lead.
It is captured in the berms?
Captured in the berm, also the base of the earth, waterproof cloth. We come in with our big lead vacuum cleaner and it goes away. I'm not going to drink the water on that property if it was contaminated. I wouldn't expect anybody to even halfway accept the fact that we're contaminating their water, food sources, and air.
Well, you know, granted, we don't have the rainfall, but in the event we do, you cannot capture rain hitting the lead that leaches into the soil.
That's not true.
How
The
are you-
monitoring wells will show that nothing is being contaminated. Between the hard packed clay, the DG, the waterproof cloths, and reclaiming the lead, there'll be zero impacts based on those ranges with regard to lead within the water, air zone, and so forth.
Well, the hard packed clay does absorb it and it will leach out eventually. So
Okay.
that
No.
voids out anything. I work with the clay and I know how long it holds on to lead and everything else. It just does not make any kind of sense whatsoever if it's such an impact that now organizations are asking hunters to eliminate lead out of their hunting bullets, that you're coming back in and saying that it is not going to harm.
I truly would love for you to share that story with me. I'd love to read it.
It's in the San Diego Union, and it was approximately 3.5 weeks ago that it was on television.
Brian, further clarification, you actually have runoff capture ponds.
That's correct.
And what are you going to do with the capture ponds?
Again, they're sealed ponds.
Sealed from what?
There's no leakage. The lead's not going anywhere. Again, look at all the ranges that are in between Camp Pendleton down here, law enforcement. No issues, no newspapers, no ranges being shut down, no lawsuits based on lead in anybody's water, food system, or anything else. It's just, I will certainly look for that article. Do you remember the title, the author of
It was in
it?
the San Diego Union, and it was also on KPBS.
Okay. I'll give it a shot and look for it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Here, and kind of in her defense, and I know she asked this question last time about the lead in the soil, and I thought it was kind of goofy because I've been around hunting and gun ranges and thought, why would there be lead in the soil? But just a few days after the last meeting, there was an article on Channel 8 News, and there was a large bird that's almost extinct that they found dead in San Diego, and they were very concerned about what had killed this bird and why it was dead and so forth. They said they found it near a range and were concerned that lead in the ground had already eaten in that area. So I thought, gosh, maybe there is something to this. So, let's not say, I don't know.
Certainly not disregard. That's what I said. I'd love to know the author. I'd love to know the title of the article. I can assure you
Well,
tonight
it was
when I
right
get
about,
home.
it was right after the last meeting, and that's the first thing they said, being the bird was by the shooting range.
I'm not disregarding it at all. I'm just talking about the construction of our range. We've had no issues in North Carolina in 10 years.
Yeah.
The monitoring wells show the planning board members and the neighbors that data. It's free to them to review anytime they want. We've never had an issue there. One thing we do well is build ranges. So I'll look for the article. I will. If you remember the author or the name of it, I'll please let me know. I'll check into it. Yes, sir.
In regard to the critters that have died from lead poisoning, that's not from leached lead in the soil. That's from direct ingestion. Some years ago, the bird hunting, the duck hunters, the people that make the ammunition and so forth switched over to a lead-free shot. Because what was happening, and what's happening to the condor that she was talking about that died, somebody shoots a bird, doesn't pick it up, doesn't take it with him. The critter comes along, the bird, the condor, the mountain lion, whatever, eats that bird and ingests the lead pellets that are in it. That's what's doing the killing, not the leached into the ground situation. That's not the problem. The problem is where it's actually ingested.
Okay. Again, I'll take a look at it and pick it apart and share my thoughts with you. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Epiphany Lopez, and up at Camp Pendleton, they had an article in the housing up there that they had a lot of lead in their water up there because over the years they've been shooting so much and everything that all the people were drinking bottled water on that Camp Pendleton.
The reports I'm getting from Camp Pendleton with regard to open space, wildlife, habitat, we can learn a lot from Camp Pendleton. It's a huge training base. Nothing with regard to lead and water and people being sick of it. I mean, share those studies with me. I'd love to see them. I've not seen them yet.
They're in the newspaper in San Diego Union.
Another Union Tribune article.
Right.
Okay. Take a look. Yes, sir.
First of all, on the lead issue, about 10 years ago, they were using lead for the waterfall hunting. Yes or no? Okay? And they decided to stop using lead because the animals were eating the lead and they were dying. Okay? That's to clear that one. And what happened to the bird, he ate some leftover lead and he croaked. End of story. You know what this is?
I think it's a naval magazine or maritime type of magazine.
Out of the Naval Institute, out of
Okay.
Annapolis.
Take the word on that.
Page 62. You guys have managed to train over 30,000 sailors a year since the USS Cole. That's not including law enforcement. I don't see nothing wrong with that. The people that oppose this, even one thing, anti-military or anti-American, or law enforcement. Okay? I read the San Diego Union Tribune. 2,000 new homes in Boulevard. They get ready to throw a farmer out of the way so they can build 2,000 new homes. Golden Acorn wants to put a hotel, 2,000 rooms. I'm over here reading the bashing Messenger, and not a single article on it regarding Boulevard or Hakumba regarding these two issues. That is a more harming place than a training ground to train military people in law enforcement. So, I need somebody to explain that to me because I'm a little bit slow in the game. So, translate that to me, please. I mean, what is it? This is the Naval Institute telling how these people have been training sailors, 30,000 sailors since the USS Cole, every single year to protect Navy ships. What's wrong with that?
Why can't the Navy do that? We pay taxes to have them trained. Why can't the Navy do it?
Because the Navy got away from training, and the Marine Corps used to do it, but due to pay cuts, they resolved to private companies to do it. Now, these private companies are making money out of this, okay? So is General Dynamics, Boeing, Truman, Johnson & Johnson. Hello. What is the deal? You brush your teeth every day? Who makes your damn toothbrush? Johnson & Johnson. Hello. Who makes the military toothbrush? Johnson & Johnson. Are they making money? Yes.
The Chinese make
That's account they're getting everything Rico, Leppy. They're getting the toys, they're getting the wood, they're getting everything Rico. Even the bird food and the dog food.
They got lead in it too.
There you go.
I probably will not be able to provide a question or an answer for his questions as well as he did, but the military does train their own people. They will forever. Again, we're offering a facility because facilities are lacking in Southern California. That's the first purpose of what we propose here. We and other contractors train the Navy because we have been able to accumulate those forces into a place and then augment the capabilities that a unit or a branch of the service doesn't have. Somebody from Petrillo wrote the Department of Navy and asked about our contracts with the Navy. And that letter that was returned back from that office stated they have a subject matter expertise and ability that we don't have. That came from the Navy, on Navy letterhead. They have people that obviously are qualified to conduct the training, but there's a unit here that has a couple, a unit here, and then those units within their own lifelines have to do their own training. This is a facility to be used by law enforcement, military. Most will come with their own trainers. And those, like the Navy contract that was just mentioned, it's because they can't train within their own lifelines on that particular mission. Yes, ma'am.
Anita Manassas, resident. I have to agree with him. It's amazing to me that the majority of us must be anti-American or anti-military because we have other issues with Potrero. How many of us have made a big deal about that chicken farm? You're talking about lead in the water. That chicken, it's disgusting. Our water is being contaminated right now. I live less than what, a quarter of a mile across the street from me, and that chicken farm is disgusting. And I haven't heard anybody talk about that, and that's an issue. Our kids are having to drink that water. You pass by there, I don't know where everybody lives, but you pass by my house at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it reeks. It's disgusting. I myself personally have called. I don't see anybody else calling. I don't know if anybody else is calling, but that's a bigger issue. Regarding the lead, to me, 90% of the toys from China have been recalled. That's an issue.
Yes, ma'am.
Good to hear. I think we're getting completely off base here. Blackwater is going to exist, and I don't care if it exists. And I love our military. Every one of my sons has served in the military. My son-in-law is my husband for 24 years. I have no problem with that. If I wanted to live by 32nd Street or Camp Pendleton, I would have moved there. I moved here 30 years ago to live in Potrero. That's a whole different story. I don't want Blackwater a mile from my house. I don't care if they exist somewhere else.
Understand. I think the impacts of the facility, again, have been spun way beyond what the impact of that facility is going to be. I say that knowingly because I know what 7,000 acres of facility does to Currituck County, Camden County, Moyock, North Carolina. That's a super Walmart. We're talking about the Potrero Cafe here with regard to training facilities. And the impacts are minimal there. The traffic is minimal. Far exceeds the ADTs that our project will produce. And it will be military professionals and law enforcement professionals driving that street, looking out for the residents who drive by there, and there will not be the noise leaving that valley in the direction of the residents, sensitive receptors as the county likes to call us. It's not going to happen.
My name is Eleanor Stevens, and I live on Round Potrero Road, and the cars go by. The other day fell. We were going down in the zone by in Potrero Valley Road, by the school. Some hot rodder tore around. Now, who enforces it? The same with you. Who is going to enforce it when there is more traffic than the road can handle? And another source is what is going to happen if this Blackwater is approved for this valley. Can anybody imagine the traffic from the construction? You're going to have a heliport with cement. Who's those cement trucks are going to come up? Where are they coming from? How many cement truckfuls will have to pour a foundation? How many, even if they make their own? Sand and gravel has to come up. Huge, huge. How is that road going to do it? And you tell me there's not going to be any more traffic than anywhere else. Minimum traffic. Where are all of these 300 people going to come from? Are they going to descend from the sky? Is the construction going to come up out of the ground like Phoenix? It is not going to, there won't be any construction. I know when we built our house, there were lots and lots of cement, concrete blocks, but the road wasn't even paved then. It was all dirt road. And most of the people up here have had homes built. Now what's going to happen with all of these people? Where are those 300 cadets? Are they going to fly in? And you tell me,
I'd love
you
to.
think there's not going to be an impact? there's going to be such an impact that we cannot even think about.
What would the impact be of 54 residential units being in that valley?
Who's approved the 54?
That land right now is designated for 50-plus residential units. I'm asking a question. If a developer comes in here and builds 50-plus residents,
All right, we'll fight them. We will fight them if they come in.
We will fight the whole planet.
We will take one step at a time. If the contractors start coming in, all right, we'll fight it just like we're fighting Blackwater.
That's great.
54, that doesn't figure. 40-acre parcels and two.
it's not all 40, sir.
Where's the
It doesn't even matter, we're talking about something.
That's right, it doesn't really matter.
We're talking about this. Answer this question.
There were several questions you
No,
asked.
it's a question right here. Yeah. I believe she asked.
Which one?
I think it was a statement more than a question.
Which one?
All right, I said, I asked you, how do you justify? You just made the statement that the traffic is going to be minimal. All right, how can you explain that it's going to be minimal if you have all of those people coming up and all of that construction on our road, the road that the taxpayers and all of the property owners up there paid for that road?
Cement work that we talked about, it's minimal because of the minimal amount of buildings that are out there. The construction equipment won't be leaving the site. You will have cement trucks coming down that road. Yes, ma'am, you will. Construction equipment comes in and stays, does its work, goes away, never to be seen again. I would ask, if there was a resident deputy here right now, do you have a problem with that resident deputy driving down that road? I would suspect every person in this room would say, no, that's the person that's going to be driving that road. You started off with speed and issues on that road. You definitely have issues. Every time I drive down that road, somebody passes my truck going 45 miles an hour, they fly by me. There are issues.
All right, who's enforcing it? And
Nobody's enforcing it now, obviously.
All right, who's going to enforce it when all of those hot rodders start coming up our
What
road?
hot rodders? I mean, what hot rodders? The resident deputies that live in this community are hot rodders. That's what you're saying. I'm asking.
Deputies cannot patrol the road.
That's our problem.
I'm asking if the deputies that live in this region or drive that road on a daily basis are the highway patrol officers whose cars I see, they're hot rodders.
Once a month, highway.
I'm asking if those people you're considering those people hot rodders.
No.
Okay, that's the people that are going to be driving that road. So to say hot rodders, it's not applicable.
All the sailors, enlisted men and stuff going out there.
So sailors and military folks are hot rodders. The people that we're relying on to...
I'm saying the people who are coming out to Blackwater, they're going to be these young guys, okay? Ex-military.
Why?
Okay, to get on a country road.
No, ma'am.
Oh, but who is going to enforce it? Who enforces
We have
it
it
now? We don't have any.
There's no doubt you have issues out there right now.
No, we do not.
So what would increase law enforcement presence due to the traffic problems out there?
We do not have enforcement on ground patrol, on Patrol Valley Road as it stands.
Doesn't Danny drive up there?
Again, look at the people that are going to be traveling that road. I'm not proposing to build a car club race car track out there. That's an emergency vehicle operator's course. The key thing here being, who is the customer? Law enforcement and the young military lads that Ray's referring to.
Brian, clarification. Aren't you going to be busing in the students?
They'll be
Contract drivers who you have discipline authority over? And
We
tell
have
them
a-
what you do in Goyak.
We have a tentative contract with Cloud9, and I hope that Cloud9's professional drivers are not hot rodders. The one benefit that we do have to those drivers are, if you saw somebody speeding, it's an easy phone call to the facility, and that's it. It's taken care of. If you look at the CD, The people in that video talk about the traffic issues they used to have in Moyo, the signs that were put up, the decreased issues they have right now. It's all positive, it isn't negative.
And if anybody needs the CD, we still have a few left.
Yes, ma'am.
Roxanne Risby again. I know a lot of military and police officers. While they're on duty, they drive very conservative. While they're off duty, that is farthest from the truth.
Okay.
They just had, as a matter of fact, a Navy guy in a hit and run. You hear of military and Navy people meeting in
Can we limit
all
this
the
to
time.
questions?
So
And no more.
you're not answering the lady's question. How are you going to monitor on a 30-foot two-lane road, speeders, the noise coming from it, the squealing tires? How are you going to do that when it's not being done now? What steps are you going to do? Are you going to hire someone to patrol that area?
We have a sheriff.
No, I'm not.
Well then, how is that going to be remedied? And don't tell me the sheriff is going to remedy
Then
that.
that's an
because it's
issue as
not.
a community, we need to deal
Well,
with our sheriff.
everybody needs to be,
You're assuming squealing tires, you're assuming the things that are
I'm
not
not
going to take
assuming
place.
anything.
Yes, ma'am,
What's
you are.
taking place now,
Yes, ma'am, you are.
okay? And
It
I
is taking
know-
place now. I
Yeah.
understand that. I'm not
So you're
arguing that.
increasing it 100-fold.
With law enforcement and military, not 100-fold.
From what's there now, yes you are.
No, ma'am, we're not. We've done,
160
the traffic study's been
cars.
done, we're not.
160 vehicles is not doubling what's happening.
We're not doubling the traffic that's out there right now, I can assure you of that. But let's get back to squealing tires and the things that are not applicable. It's not happening. I'm sorry you know off-duty police
Oh, you
officers who
hear
have
it
the
in the
responsibility.
you hear it in the news all the time.
I don't.
Well, maybe you need
Brenda?
to watch the news a little bit more.
my turn. No, I just want to clarify, if by some chance we did see someone coming into your facility and they were squealing tires or running people off the road, can we call your facility, report that person, and you'll take care of it?
Yes.
That's
That
how
person
you-
or that unit will not be allowed in the facility to train.
So that's how you would enforce that. That's a good idea. That's better than anything we can do right now. And I am ex-military and I know how to do it.
Sir?
I'd like to answer Mr. Lutz's question about the military, training their own people, having spent 26 years in it myself.
Excuse
The
me.
bottom line is that, the military is so strapped right now by personnel. I was just out to the EOD base and the SEAL team base yesterday. And they are turning around so fast, they do not have the personnel to conduct the training that you say they should be able to do. They just don't have it. These people here have the expertise in the new technologies and tactics for combating the shipboard problems we're having. They, like you said, they've trained over 30,000 sailors and Coast Guard people. And it's called VSS training, and it's for visual search and seizure type operations. With the paucity of men that are turning around, they just don't have the assets to train. And you know that, Mr. Lutz.
Well, they have it in the private sector and they could easily be hired by the Navy then. That's my response, but
Blackwater is a private sector to be hired by the Navy.
if you'd like that, if I can have you time, I'll take
Every
it.
speaker needs to be recognized, Mr. Lutz. Please observe the rules.
The other issue I'd like to address here is everybody's so concerned about Blackwater, whether you like them or not. It is, in my view, not important to a degree. The real issue here is property rights. You people here that have property here don't want somebody telling you what you can or cannot do with your property. You don't even want to give a chance to go through the protocol of an EIR, which will tell us that, yes, they meet the criteria and they don't. Myself as a property owner, I want to have every right to go through the system and have the questions answered. If I'm paying for them, I want them answered and brought out.
That's right.
And they should have it as a company, whether you like them or not. They do a service to the government.
Yeah, I was wondering, why did this company feel it was necessary when you first came into this county to hire a lobbyist and when you hired the lobbyist and when you met with Chairman Waller back in last year in September? Why did you feel it necessary to do that? Because one, you knew it wouldn't be appropriate for this land use out here, and also so you attacked it by the lobbyists and politically, and that's why you started with the lobbyists first?
Are you asking a question or making a statement?
Question.
Okay. We're not from California, so I talk to everybody that would talk to us, everybody that could talk to us, to include you folks. That's the bottom line, to make sure that we follow the rules, we understood the rules clearly, we knew what was going to be required of us, we knew what we had to do this and go through this process appropriately. This is the first time we've gone through it here in Southern California, in California period. We wanted to make sure that we clearly knew the rules and regulations before we proceeded.
Weren't you trained the Navy here in San Diego?
For a subcontractor, yes.
For how many years? Before?
At least 4.
Okay.
So the subcontractor knew.
Right. Blackwater, when you say they fly into the airport, would that be foreign personnel flying from other countries flying into the airport?
No, I think I've covered it before. Any non-law enforcement military folks that this project is proposed to support, if they're in support of something else, they're going to continue to go to our main headquarters, North Carolina.
So would those be considered trained by Blackwater, or there's another company that's subsidiary of your company?
Talk about that word, didn't you?
Yeah, Greystone.
Greystone. What about Greystone?
That's registered in Barbados, and is that part of an offshoot of this company?
Of Blackwater?
Yes.
Yeah, sure is.
And they train foreigners, right?
Greystone was set up to train foreign, local nationals and third country nationals.
And they are trained for like a private security for other countries or other corporations, right?
I guess the best way I could kind of explain it, let's say there's a contract like through a U.S. Embassy. Let's just say Sarajevo. Sarajevo has a U.S. ambassador. That U.S. ambassador is protected by local nationals, Bosnians. They work for, let's say they work for a company like Blackwater. Blackwater is expected through the State Department to find, vet, potentially train, manage, maybe even pay these individuals. However, even through Greystone, if that company is to do any work with non-U.S. personnel, technical assistance agreements have to be obtained, and those will discuss. Department of Justice could be involved, Department of Defense, certainly Department of State, and they make the determination, not us, not Greystone. They make the determination on whether we proceed, stop, change, do not. They do.
And one of those countries is in the Philippines, right?
I don't know if we have anything ongoing with the Philippines right now or not. I don't.
If there wasn't Philippines, they would be flying and landing in San Diego. They wouldn't be flying all the way to North Carolina.
No, that's not true, because if Department of State is managing these kinds of contracts, it's going to continue to go where they want it to go. The State Department, for example, and Department of Defense and other government federal agencies always provide personnel to oversee the training. So you're not going to have people flying from Washington, D.C. to San Diego. They're going to continue to fly to the Beltway. Those people are going to continue to be trained exactly where our government wants those people to be trained. That's the best I can explain it for you.
And as you lobby San Diego County, you have your own lobbyists that lobby up in Washington, D.C. too.
Actually, our lobbyist in San Diego has nothing to do in Washington, D.C.
I said you hire people. You have enough money to do that too.
We have enough money, I guess, to do whatever, Carly, you think we can do.
Mike background.
Yes, sir.
To elaborate on Carl's, when I was in the military, we trained foreign nationals from other countries all the time. And we even trained them in bomb disposal procedures, which I used to teach. So it's not uncommon for our government to go out and solicit or help allied countries and train their personnel. And it's no different if they would screen them to bring them here and get training from Blackwater. I'm assuming, I don't know that for a fact, but I know it works for West and all your other military that do certain types of training. They provide it to allied countries, and it's a common practice.
These people from these other countries, maybe not all, but some of them would work with Blackwater, the Graceland.
One question. Jack, could you tell us how many years and what you retired from and what rank?
I was a chief warrant officer 4. I was a bomb disposal technician for 17 years. I was an instructor for 4 years. And I taught everything from seaman to admiral in the bomb disposal program.
Yes, sir.
26 years in the Marine Corps. I trained Pakistanis, I trained Iranians, Iraqis, Somalis, okay, Colombians, in the business of military, okay, as a military person. What they do is nothing different than we. We are so stretched, so thin, okay, that we don't even have people to train people anymore. So we hire people like them. And by the way, man, I was a hard rider for 7 years from Potrero to MC San Diego into the day I retired. Okay? As a matter of fact, I called Phil first day of school, 7:30 in the morning. First day of school, I dropped down to 25, the lights wasn't on, I got passed. I got on myself, Phil, they just passed me, turn the lights on. Yes or no, Phil?
Yes.
Okay. So the hard riders, man, that's we throwing darts in the dark to see what stick. Stick the ball. What are we sticking? You know, how are you going to compare Barbados or Bahamas to Potrero? Military and law enforcement. You can't. Okay, you're talking about they're training foreigners over there. Let them train them over there. Over here he's talking military, law enforcement. If there's a change, I got to put a new license. And it has to go to a 2-year agreement. I was just over here, barking at the dog. And we spent a whole hour on leg sucking in the ground when we be talking about better things.
Yes, sir.
Raymond Lutz, Citizens Oversight. One of the questions that people are asking me frequently is about the border, and if Blackwater is thinking about taking part in some contracts with the federal government to monitor the border and maybe use Round Potrero Valley as a base station for the Blackwater soldiers that would be deployed to monitor and maybe even use those blimps or the planes that you bought from Brazil.
If we were asked by our government to help augment whatever security was needed on the border, I don't think there's one person in this room who wouldn't want the borders tightened up. And what is wrong with that? I'd have to
I'm just
question it.
asking the question to you if you're going to do it. No, I'm asking you the question.
Right now, there's no contracts with Blackwater to secure either border.
Would you entertain a contract, and would you think about using that valley as your base?
Would I entertain?
Would Blackwater entertain a contract for monitoring the border? Yes or no?
We would entertain any approach from our government to help secure either border. Absolutely.
And in those cases, the valley might be used as a station for deployment?
Actually, we've offered up it as a substation of Border Patrol and U.S. Customs right now. Would love to see them there.
In terms of your policy for buying American, is that pretty much a solid policy?
Buying American?
Are you a patriotic buyer of hardware?
You got me on that one. I drive a Mercedes. So
no, I'm talking about Blackwater. Now,
I don't know, Ray. I have no idea what
because this is a
Blackwater's
concern.
This
is a concern from people because they look at the military, and sometimes it's bad that we get into these wars, but they say at least they're buying American, and they may be working for companies that are building that hardware and so forth and providing jobs to our the American worker. Now I understand that Blackwater recently invested in a number of airplanes from Brazil, buying out of our country in a sort of unprecedented action for any of our defense structure to start buying from internationally. So what do you have to say about that? You're not going to buy American?
Actually, we're in a kind of a unique position. The Ford Motor Plant in Norfolk, Virginia is shutting down. Thousands of people on the street, no jobs. We've already begun to hire them. So we're buying American. We're putting Americans back to work. I want to put 60 people in this region to work. So I'm there with it. Buy American.
The ones that want to work.
I'll sell my Mercedes today, Rick. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I think bottom line is, okay, you've stated that there's a need. Well, police officers and few military reports, no, there isn't. They have adequate facilities to target practice and get their certification. But this is a residential area, and the majority of people moved up here not to be next to a Camp Pendleton type facility. And so when an organization such as yourself comes up here, that does not fit the community plan. When we move up here, we plan full well that we're going to do the drive time, and that does not bother us.
So I don't expect to see a resume from you coming back to the desk.
And don't
not in the least.
Don't speak for all of us.
I'm clear on that. But you can't compare Camp Pendleton at 200 square miles to Potrero being 800 acres.
Well, it doesn't matter the size. No, it doesn't. You are invading a residential area who the people came up here for peace and quiet and not to hear what is
I'd like to limit this to questions, not
Yes,
oratory.
Yes.
So, and we have a person over here that hasn't spoken at all yet, who has been patient.
Yes, sir.
Michael Obama. I just have a question. I know that Mr. Lutz asked you a question in regards to entertaining a contract. Could you think about getting a contract with a fishing game so they can put in a pheasant hunting area in your 800 acres?
Somebody asked if they could open up a live bird shoot there to go and hunt quail.
Now the question is, do I have to bring a American-made gun? Can I bring an Italian-made shotgun? Are you going to check on
We
that?
won't have restrictions on what make and brand shotguns would be used if you're hunting quail on a facility.
Papers, please.
You going to be checking papers too, by the way?
May need to do that. Yes, sir.
I'm Ralph Stevens, Potrero. The 60 jobs that you have, you turned in at the county that there'd be 25 permanent and 35 temporary. Is that still hold true? Or?
Actually, it's going to be 60 full-time positions. And the new EIR will discuss that.
If you have, you can't have that many, can you? If the barracks aren't full, you're not going to have people working.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You have a barracks of
360 beds.
If there's no one occupying them, you're not going to have people working.
We're kind of phasing the project in. For example, we're not building what you have seen in the past with regard to 8 carbine ranges, 3 pistol ranges, 2 classrooms, so on and so forth. It's going to be done in phases. So as the increase in the business increases, then we will go to a max build out over a period of time. Couldn't tell you if it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road. Maybe never, if there's not a need for it. But there's small increments. Will I be able to hire 60 people day one? No, sir. Wouldn't be able to keep them working. But as soon as the doors open up, we will start hiring.
Behind you, Brian.
I'm sorry.
What about the 3,000 acres that's for sale behind my property? Are you entertaining that idea of buying that property?
I don't know where you live. I don't know where you...
Potrero Valley Road, Potrero Circle, all that property is for sale.
Potrero Ranch?
No. Wacker's property and
No,
Martino's property.
I think Wacker's property is actually being...
Yeah, it's in the paperwork somewhere.
Yeah, it's not us.
It's not you?
Promise.
Okay, now what about the helicopters?
What about it?
I griped about the helicopters the last time I was here.
Okay.
And so they circled my house for like a whole hour.
Did they really?
That week, in that week. And so, you know, I worry about you.
Okay.
And the fires that are going on right now, I was worried about. But after reading your article about how you're going to save us in East Canyon, it just kind of, and then the fires came up, I couldn't believe that.
Okay. The helicopters, not ours. The fire wasn't caused by us. Did that
No,
suffice?
because you're going to have helicopters back there, and I'm going to have to listen to them. And I really don't want to listen to them.
I know.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm right on the other side of the canyon from where you're going to be, and I don't want to hear it. And I'm really sorry, Brian, but I really don't want it.
Okay. One good thing about ranges, helicopters, aircraft, and bullets do not get along well. So I suspect that once we're operational, helicopters will widen their path a little bit because there will be a known range, and I fully expect that maybe, don't hold me to it, please, maybe some of that helicopter traffic will not be so direct over your house. I don't know, but...
Sure it will be.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, that's why I don't want you here. I'm really sorry, but,
Okay.
you know, I came up here, I have 5 grandkids, they love to come up to Grandma's house. Now, do I feel safe that you're going to be out there firing your guns when they're going to ride their motorcycles out that way?
As long as they don't come in the valley.
Right, but what's going to happen? They all like to
On private
ride
property?
out there. They all ride out on
On private property?
They all
The
do.
range? Don't say that. You're on tape.
No, I know, but it's true.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up. We have time for a couple more questions.
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to, I don't understand, there are no Blackwater airplanes or helicopters. If we have a problem in living here, then we need to move all of us because we are in the border of Mexico. That is Homeland Security. I had 45 illegals picked up. The helicopter was on my house on Monday morning for over an hour and a half, and that's not going to make me move. They picked up 45 people that were illegal.
I believe it.
So that is not his helicopter. That's the Border Patrol. If you don't like it, I think you need to move then, because the Border Patrol is here.
I love the Border Patrol.
Oh, that's not what you said. You don't like helicopters.
No, I don't like helicopters.
Is this a piece of love?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to address our issue. If you had checked the aeronautical chart for the east-west corridor, Potrero sits right under the helicopter flight path out of North Island, Ivy, out to Yuma and the Naval Air Station at El Centro. We're right under that air corridor.
I know.
In case you hadn't figured it out.
Yeah. No, I watch them all the time, and I watch the
Well,
Navy
you ought to
SEALs
also
too.
know that we have the customs helicopter, the quadcopters. We also have Border Patrol, Borderland Security copters, and the Sheriff's Department flying through here on a regular basis. Where have you been, young lady?
And thank God for them. Thank God for them. I was alone on my property with 45 illegals.
Okay.
They yell for me at the front door. I have no problem with that.
Nobody gets any more helicopters than I do. Maybe some of you get as many.
I got more.
But you don't get any more.
I think they have more than anybody else.
And there has not been one Blackwater helicopter in the group.
No, it was the Navy SEALs because I
Now, there's a black helicopter belongs to the National Guard.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I had a question. You were saying that those 60 jobs are full-time,
I think the computer's going to be reading more.
right?
Yes, sir.
And I read somewhere, I think it was something that Gordon wrote, the payroll. What is the payroll for those jobs?
Ooh.
The annual payroll? Well, he had a number, I don't know where he got Gordon.
Please don't hold me to
Some
that.
article with the payroll, dollar figure, annual payroll for those 60 jobs?
I think that first started because I was at the Potrero store buying some Gatorade going out to the ranch, and some people were asking me about jobs. And one of the questions they asked, what would the salary be? And my answer is, I have no idea yet. We're far from hiring people. But when you look at, this is what I said, something to the effect of, when you look at our human resources hiring model, salaries based on positions, whether it's mechanical, logistical, full gamut. We have a model. And then we take in regions. It's a lot more expensive to live in California than it is North Carolina. So there'd be pay increases. There are models for the state of California with regard to those pay increases based on cost of living. So we take all these things into account. That, when you look at the 60 positions, and I'm guessing, and the only reason I did well at math was because my math teacher was my soccer coach and I was really good at soccer. Having said that, we're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual salaries coming to, I'd love to think, Potrero or the region.
Well, so where did that figure come from, Gordon?
I'm sure it was part of the conversation that I had that he was present for or had heard from one of the people I was talking to. You know, if I said I'm going to pay you $1, by the time it gets to 6 people later, it's $6,000.
Well, the reason I asked is because I calculated it out, 60 full-time jobs using the figures that Gordon had in his article. I don't know what it was, $1.5 million a year, something like that. And then
But you have to look at benefits too. 401s, retirement, health, dental. When you cumulatively look at it, that's what the human resources model and the states take into account.
Yeah, because it only came out to $10 an hour, but I figured, well, I'm probably wrong because those aren't 60 full-time jobs. Some of the jobs are part-time, and now you're saying they're full-time, so that would be about $10 an hour.
You know, I'd love to be able to tell you right now what we're going to pay, but I'm willing to bet it's better than that. I'm banking on it.
So am I.
Plus fringes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes, I'm Ralph Stevens. I just want to say that the only thing that keeps irritating me is I keep hearing everybody alluding to the fact, because we oppose this, we're not patriotic, we're not good Americans, and we don't like Blackwater. I have nothing against Blackwater. I would be opposing anybody, I don't care who came in. I'm a veteran of the military, I have a brother that's a colonel in the Army that's still here. So, I'm getting tired of hearing, if you oppose this program, you're anti-patriotic and everything else. Well, that is wrong.
It's not fully wrong. I've had people stop me and say, you're a war profiteer, I don't agree with wars, I don't think we need a military, I'm not supportive of my military. Those are the comments, unfortunately, I'm hearing, so I can't speak for what was said, but I'm not... Yes, sir, some of them absolutely. Yes, unfortunately, but again, that's their opinion, and I don't fault them for it.
But none of those I've associated feel that way. So I don't know which ones it is that I do.
And I'm always the first one to say thank you for your service. 100%.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In Mohawk, you guys don't have cows, right?
I'm sorry?
You don't have cows in Mohawk, right?
No, it may be a business line for us out here.
But you're gonna have cows over here, right?
We're going to.
So you're gonna need a ranger, right? A cattle ranger?
If that's your question, I'm sure somebody's going to have to tend to the cattle.
All right. How much would it pay an hour for a cattle ranger?
I don't think that's in our human resources law.
$10 an hour and all the milk you can drink.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
How many of those
Question,
jobs-
right?
Yes.
Question?
How many, denoting the question, how many of those jobs are going to be transfers from Moya?
Almost none.
That's their local.
Almost none. It costs too much money to transfer families from coast to coast. Almost none. Now, if you ask me what does almost mean, I have no idea. Small percentage.
So all the employment on your website, all those positions that are now available and applications that are being taken are for positions in Moya?
I'm not aware of any from Potrero, I can assure you of that. But yeah, they're all Moyoc positions. Other than we do have our business ongoing in Illinois, and we're trying to hire an office manager there, and we've taken on ads in newspapers there. So I think we are trying to hire for that job as well, but I haven't put anything out with regard to hiring for this project.
So none of the 60 per se jobs will be transferred from other facilities here?
As I said, almost none.
What's almost none?
I just said, I don't know what almost is going to be.
Well, you see, you can fill the Potrero quota by hiring and making them residents of Potrero.
Well, that's good. They'll be trained. They'd be buying
At least the
properties here.
homeowners would be happy, I guess, what they're trying to sell, but we're not moving 60 families here. That's absurd. From a financial standpoint, I'd get fired if I suggested that. From an economic standpoint, no. And why? The talent pool is here.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to sell it off, yeah? And the ones that qualify don't have a back, yes?
Yes, sir.
If you would like a breakdown of the potential jobs, I can pretty well go over that with you.
They
No,
have
I
it
don't
on their
have it.
website.
Yes.
Of what they're hiring for is
But
more.
if you're looking at full build out, if you're looking at 60 employees and they're running a kitchen, they're running a bunkhouse, and it pretty well breaks down as to how many of those are going to be housekeeping, how many of those are going to be commissary, so on and so forth.
And with all due respect, he's trying to hit a home run with that model, but we're not sure if it's going to be a double or a triple. But I'm not quite sure how many and of what. But it will be mechanical, logistical, administrative, full scale, full spectrum.
I'd like to mention that when we were back there, there's a lot of women in the administrative top of the administrative position.
You probably just insulted every woman in this room, implying that they're not
Yes,
capable of anything else.
Yes, you did. You can stop lying, Jerry.
Okay, we're out of time, but Christine hasn't asked a question yet, so Christine, you'll be the last.
I just wanted to know if you could maybe give us an update on how the environmental impact report is going.
From my perspective, officially, it hasn't been determined. It's still in a draft format. The first iteration has been submitted. Comments from the county are almost completely back to us. We're proceeding.
So can you give us a forecast of when the next big step would be?
Well, there's 2 more iterations, and then public review, and then planning commissioners and county council and a whole bunch of other stuff.
So maybe like 6 months?
No idea. Sometimes the county moves very quickly, most of the time they don't, in all due respect. But we're at their mercy. Yep.
Brian, there's one question that I've had several people ask me, and I indicate I would ask you about this evening. What is Blackwater's position on the recall?
Blackwater, North Carolina, I don't even know if they know the recall's taking place other than in my bi-monthly reports. I told them that there's a recall ongoing. I think my position out here, quite frankly, with all due respect, doesn't impact me at all.
You don't care.
I don't spend 1 minute
Ray Lutz cares more than you.
Regardless, I mean, if you look at some of the policies and codes that the county has to follow, this is an advisory board, with all due respect. I'm not trying to knock anybody's position down, but that's kind of it. And nowhere in those policies and procedures is there a vehicle for the advisory board to determine other than give advice on land use matters. I'll be back next month.
Okay, I got one real quick. Your ship simulators, are you going to operate them the same way that the Marines at Camp Pendleton do?
You know, I don't know how the Marines operate their ship simulators, so please tell me. We don't have any.
The question is, you said you're not going to have explosives. The Marines at Camp Pendleton operate their ship simulators by, they breach the ship by literally blowing the doors off with explosives. Then they go inside with their automatic weapons and shoot place out.
And they do cause a lot of fires doing silly stuff like that too, but that's what they do there. We don't propose. We are going to have ship simulators here. They're shipping containers that are painted gray. We'll put windows on them. We'll put red lights on the inside. They'll look like a ship. Those ship simulators were specifically for the Navy Ship's Reactionary Force. Sailors, black shoe sailors, who may be mechanics, electricians, mess specialists. We're going to teach them how to find bad guys on the boat if there ever became that situation. That's all simulated training. There's not even any live fire attached with that training in Moyock or here.
Oh, they don't use.
No, sir, they don't. They have real guns, but they do not use real bullets. Yes, sir, I'm sure.
Go inside there and shells all over.
Yep.
With that, we'll close the question and answer session. And Brian, thank you for coming out here this evening.
Thank you very much for your questions.
We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of past meetings.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
We have a second? Second. Discussion?
The simple ones? Just the simple ones? Okay, I will approve the simple ones.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Correspondence. We have a list of correspondence. Each of you have a list, and mostly it is meeting notices. If there's any item that any of you see here that you would like to have addressed, I'll be happy to do that. I do have one item from a letter from Carl Meyer. And this is important from one standpoint. We now have an election. We now have candidates. They have filed. And Carl, anything that you have with what I say is not the purview of this board. I did bring the material that you requested, but that's a campaign issue, and that's between you and me, and if necessary, our attorneys, okay? And if you want to take something to the Fair Campaign Practices Committee, you can. But this board will not be dealing with campaign issues. Now, as far as the documents that you requested, I have those here. I do have a printout from one of Mr. Lutz's sites that has the recall procedure on it, and it was right down the line of what you did, and therefore I presume that you followed that. Now, if you got it from the registrar of voters, fine. I can only assume then that you both got it from the same place, because I'm sure that Ray didn't get it from you. So
you mentioned in the hotline that it was documents from website information and
right.
web links, website links, and documents.
Right.
Yeah, where's the document?
He's got it in.
Oh, that's a website.
Well, that's
the documents from the
a printout becomes a document. Now,
It says
also,
add document. I
okay,
want to see the document.
we also have then the announcement for the October 6th and 7th No on Blackwater rally and walk that is being sponsored. Now, I've had people try to tell me that there is no political issue here. And I'm saying, baloney. There is a political issue here. Whether you're involved in that or not is another matter, okay? But I'm sure that I'm going to have disagreements with what you've said, because I already have disagreements with what you've said. I think a lot of stuff you've said is full of crap, and I'm sure that you're going to say the same thing about me, okay? Now, those are campaign issues, and not the purview of this board. So you will deal with me directly on any issues you have with me.
You mentioned my name in your hotline, and you mentioned documents, and I said, show us the documents, and you come out with a website link. I did not have anything to do with his website link. I was at this procedure back in March, I think March. I got it from Kathy Glazer way back before anyone was talking about it. In fact, I have the website procedures, what we call them state and local officials, with all the notes out of the yellow I needed to learn. And if you think I was going to rely on somebody's private website link, the documents on their website, I'm not that damn good.
Well, thank you for that clarification.
And if you would have asked me, I would have told you just that.
Okay, and you know, if you had asked me a few things, I would have told you the right things too.
All you did was put that in.
All you did was come up with a recall with a bunch of bogus stuff in it without asking me. Same thing, okay? Brenda?
If we're talking about the website and where people got things, where do you get your information for your website? My name showed up on your website, but I was being named in the lawsuit from Zoe, and I knew nothing about it until I downloaded it off of your website.
Any interaction that anyone has with me may come on a public website. this film that I'm taking will become permanent on the internet.
They don't always, when
This
it's
one,
pro Blackwater, they don't show up. on the
Can I
website.
answer your question? I've had a lot of intimidation lashed out at me, including trees removed from my own property, including websites going down and so forth. The only way I can survive through this is to become very, very public. And that's what I'll do. I'm a very honest person. I'll tell you one thing. Carl and I, we didn't talk about this recall thing except for maybe one time in a public meeting. I have no interaction with Carl with regard. You think I pulled off the recall? I had nothing to do with it. I just happened to for my own edification, because it's never happened before in this county.
Did you actually put in there how Potrero, what applies to Potrero?
Absolutely.
And how they could do that?
And I talked to the registrar of voters and I asked him the person the question, how many would it take? I was just curious. That's something that I did for myself and for anyone who wants to know in the whole county, in the world. Now,
You were advising people at Potrero because you actually stated in there, I hope you people bought the right list and take in all the different...
absolutely. And I am an individual. I am a citizen. I consider myself, by the way, very patriotic. I consider the fact that I don't think it's right to outsource our military into private hands. It doesn't mean that I don't support our military. That means that I think it's unwise to have a private firm take over for us. It doesn't mean that I'm unpatriotic because I make these decisions. This has nothing to do with these people who say that they don't think this belongs here. They go, well, you're anti-war and you're unpatriotic and you should go away because you're slime. No, that's not the case. These people that come to me, I'll tell you, almost without a fault, the people that are the most concerned about this issue are the ones that have been in the military for an extended period of time, and they say, this sucks because this goes against what I believe I did when I enlisted in the military to benefit my country. It wasn't for the almighty dollar. So I wanted to say that.
Well, we're getting off the subject.
Yeah.
We're dealing with correspondence. Are there any more correspondence issues?
Well,
That's what he invited out to zero here.
I was just going to say, I'm court.
Okay. Emil?
Is that correspondence?
Well, then you
Okay,
can't say it.
then let's hold it to...
I make a motion, we just dispense with the correspondences.
Okay, so we're finished with the correspondence. Okay, that moves us into opportunities for the public to address the board on any subject within its purview that is not on the agenda. Mike?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson and board members. I'm here again, first of all, as a member of the community. I'd like to thank personally the people that have made a donation to Mountain Empire and our new scoreboard. If you could, I would please, if you could stand and we could give them a round of applause. I would appreciate it if you could do that. If not, could we just give them a round of applause, please? Thank you. I'm also here we do have the scoreboard. We are hoping to put it up before our first home game. But I'm still here requesting donations. If you would like to make a donation, I do have an envelope here that you can put your donation and mail it to the school. Or just, if you happen to have a checkbook handy, you can just write it up and give it to me. But if not, I have envelopes.
Yeah, I didn't know who to send it to, so I'd like to send it, please.
Thank you very much. If anybody else needs an envelope, I'll be more than glad to give you one.
Mountain Empire, right?
Yes.
Associated Student Body.
I need an ASB.
And we should put on the check for the school board.
It's Associated Student Body, Mount Empire High School.
You can just put ASB.
We're halfway there, and I'm glad to say that most of the contributions have come from Potrero, and so this will definitely go for that.
Okay, now
You need a number?
I don't have a checkbook with me, but I need to know.
Okay, so, thank you very much, and the school thanks you, and all the students, thank you.
Okay, any other public input within our purview? Jack?
I'm going to make one comment. I find Mr. Bridges' comment disingenuous when they said he supports the military when the Democratic Party is consistently trying to cut funds for their operations and their training. And they complained about they don't have money to train people. So I find it very disingenuous, his comments.
Let's talk afterwards.
It's not within our purview.
Let's talk afterwards.
And I want to keep your comments on the things that are in our purview. Any others? Mr. Lutz?
I noticed that at the meeting a couple times ago, actually I couldn't come, you had Duncan McFetrich here, and you allowed Blackwater equal time. I'm wondering if if you invited Duncan to the meeting today so they could have equal time, and if you're going to be inviting them again so they can have equal time, because you made such an effort to make it Blackwater to have equal time.
No.
Yeah, I commented on that. Duncan, he's been here for his own agenda. It has nothing to do with what we're doing here. It's his own agenda that he's bringing here. We've heard it 10 times.
He's also had other public meetings in the community.
Are we a public radio broadcasting?
Okay, any other
I'd like to bring up this.
that's on the agenda? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, moving on to item 2, appointment of the Southwest Power Link Study Committee. Jan, are you willing to share that? Okay, I have a contact name for you. Randy Lennox. Lennox.
Spell it?
I can get it for you. He lives in Lake Marina, and he has been doing the study for the Campo group, and has Chaplain Verse save you an awful lot of time. My personal opinion is that this is kind of like the airport study thing, where they want to funnel money to consultants, and they're doing it with no intention of ever coming this way. But I've had other people tell me that no, that's not true, that's being seriously considered. And just recently I read an article where it's going to go way north.
Yes, I've heard it all.
So
I do have Diane Jacobs' letter on it, so I got copies for everybody.
Very good.
1, 2, 3, 4. And if it's okay, I'll just read it to everybody since I don't have enough copies. It's from Diane Jacob, it's to Commissioner Diane Brunich. I hope I didn't kill that. From the California Public Utilities Commission. I wish to respectfully call your attention to a letter dated August 24, 2007, which was addressed to you and co-authored by the current chairman of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors and the mayor of the city of San Diego. The letter expresses concerns over the delay in the review process for SDG&E's proposed Sunrise Power Link and issues strong support for the project. It is my belief that the chairman's signature on the letter may give the erroneous impression to the California Public Utilities Commission that the San Diego County Board of Supervisors supports the Sunrise Power Link. In fact, the board has taken no position in support of this project. In my view, the chairman's support for the line in no way reflects the views of the many communities most impacted by this massive project. To resolve any confusion the chairman's letter may have created, please know that my opposition to the line remains firm and is detailed in my previous comments submitted to the commission. Sincerely, Diane Jacob.
very good.
I'm supposed to be getting those previous comments, I just haven't as of yet. Yes, carbon copy went to Schwarzenegger, Michael Peavy, the California Public Utilities, all of the Board of Supervisors, and Jerry Sanders.
And the other next item is that Wednesday of next week, September 19th, Caltrans is having a public meeting at the Camille Primary School at 14567 Lions Valley Road. to acquaint everybody with what their plans are for the proposed Highway 94 improvements from Melody Lane to SR 188.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention, that was in the paper today, and here's a blown-up copy if you want to pass it around.
If anybody's interested in attending, I highly recommend it. I still have a couple copies of the meeting notice.
It appears that after 20-some odd years, maybe we might have some safety improvements on Highway 94. It appears that way.
We have a schedule at the library for the same thing on the 19th.
That is what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah, but he's talking about the one he said is in the rule.
Our library?
Our library.
No.
Okay.
It's in the paper today.
The Petero Library.
Yeah, I didn't receive notice on that.
Yeah, when the guy was in there, and Candy has it scheduled for 4:30 to 7 or whatever the time, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they called him and talked to him, and the guy was there.
Both ways at the same time.
It's 4:30 to 8. Yeah. Come.
He called the library on the phone, he said, and they turned the post office to move. That's right. Go to the library, and they talked to him too much twice. And he said, he's here too.
We'll say hello.
Why am I not surprised?
The paper today.
It's okay.
Okay, that covers our business for tonight. The motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Wait, I do have a question.
Yes.
In regards to being this committee, can I ask for help from anybody I need? What's the parameters of?
You can have anybody on your committee just report your nominations to us.
Okay.
And but they do not have to be members of this board. They can be members of the club.
So anyway, I make a motion to adjourn.
So moving to second, okay, we're adjourned at 8:24.